Okay, just stopped to catch my breath here a little bit. A little bit of an incline coming up. What I'm hiking on is an old deactivated logging road, I'm pretty sure. You know, there isn't a human footprint or even a bicycle track or anything. I don't think it gets a lot of use, but nonetheless, we're here and we're going to see where it goes. While I'm catching my breath, I just thought I would show you something, if you can bear with me in the frame here. Right there, we got some bear scat. Looks like he's been feasting on some of the local berries. So I just thought I would show you that, you know, as I said, they are active out here. Not really too worried about it, but we're going to keep our wits about us. So once again, the wind's picking up, but I thought I would just give you a quick shot of the Continental Divide, that ridge of mountains in the background there. Basically the border between Alberta and British Columbia, and the dividing line that separates the runoff of the snowmelt, either west to the Pacific or north to Hudson's Bay or south down to the Gulf. You'll also see in the background got some dark clouds coming in. I think that's maybe the snow that was promised here. Gonna get off this ridge and find a little bit of shelter. So just another quick stop here. I thought I'd show you guys something interesting. Just over my shoulder here, hopefully it'll show up in the camera, is a giant burl. And for any of you guys that do some woodworking, either with a lathe or carving, will know what you could do with a piece of wood like that. And just as an aside, I'm going to turn the camera. I don't know if it'll show up or not, but I got the first snowflakes falling. First ones of the season, 2019. So that's kind of exciting. Gonna press on into it. I don't think it's gonna get too bad, but you can feel the temperature just drop in the last half hour or so. It's still above freezing, but the snow is starting to fall. Cool, let's keep going. So just came to a junction in the trail here, and I've got a bit of a Y, a left and a right. And what I'll do in a lot of cases like this, just mark some a flag on a tree, carry a little bit of flagging tape in my backpack. Always a good idea, especially on a new hike, place you haven't been to before. If the ceiling comes down and it's hard to get your bearings, you know, I've got a compass and a GPS, but just a quick indicator like this will lead us back to the truck when it comes time to get out of here. Well, I guess that's it for the day. The snow is here. It's about 4:30 in the afternoon and it's time to find some shelter. I passed a creek a few hundred yards back. I'm going to head back there and set up some kind of a shelter for the night. Okay, so I'm just back at the creek. I passed this, I don't know, a few minutes ago, and it started to snow there, and in the meantime it's stopped now. But anyway, I thought I may as well come back to it. Good source of fresh water. You know, I'm gonna need some water to cook dinner and wash up and what have you, so you want to be close to a source of water. And just in from the creek, we'll just take a walk this way. Got a little patch of trees here, so it's fairly sheltered. Got my pack over there already, and quasi level here. Ground looks not too hard, fairly soft, fairly clear. So I think I can take those few little twigs out of there and set up the tarp shelter right here. So losing the light here pretty quick, but I thought I'd give you just a quick shot of the tarp before I set it up. What it is, it's a Wingman lightweight. This is the larger version, 12 feet by 9.5 feet. I got this one at Cabela's on sale, about $100. Not super cheap, but compared to some of the other ones out there, I think a pretty good value. Ripstop polyester on this one, 100% waterproof. I'm sure it's got some kind of a silicone coating. And in a situation like this, it works fairly well. So I'm going to do a very basic A-frame design here. Single piece of paracord for the ridge line. I did bring a couple of pieces of plastic to close up the end if I need to, but we're fairly sheltered here, so I'm going to start out without it. All right, better get going, and when I'm done, I'll show you what it looks like inside. Okay, so it's about 10:30 at night, and I got everything set up here. Got a fire going in the stove. Managed to have some dinner. There's the remnants of the mashed potatoes. And just kind of as an aside, I did manage to boil or heat my water. Shouldn't say boil. Heat my water in the stainless cup on top of the stove. Took about an hour to get it steaming. Never actually did come to a boil. but it did get warm enough to cook or make those mashed potatoes. So that worked out fairly well. If you're going to try and purify water, I think you might want to think of a different option there to boil your water. But for just a warming a dinner, worked out okay. Anyway, rest of the tarp shelter got set up here. As I said, just a basic A-frame. And down at the other end, I've got a piece of plastic attached to that end there, just to kind of keep any rain or snow that might fall overnight out of the head end of the tent. And just in the corner there on my nightstand, I got my UCO candle lantern. That's going to give me about 4 hours per tea light. That's the tea light version. So just going to leave that going overnight in case I have to get up or look for anything. Just going to give me a little bit of head start as far as finding a light. And as far as the sleep system here, I brought this automotive sunscreen, I guess it is. And it's designed to go in the front windshield to keep your car cool in the summertime. But I'm going to flip that around and use it to keep me warm here tonight. So pretty thin foil. It's about 5 feet long, so something's going to be hanging off the end. But I've got it on top of a foil tarp that's about 5 feet by 7 feet. And I think between the two of those, I should be warm enough here tonight. So I got a thin blanket along, but honestly I haven't even pulled it out yet. I've got 2 sweatshirts there, which I haven't put on. A big puffy jacket, which I haven't put on. Basically, the little stove here is keeping this tarp shelter fairly warm in spite of the fact that it's completely open on that end. Outside temperature is about freezing, plus 1 degree Celsius, but the temperature in here, I've got my old Radio Shack digital thermometer, is somewhere around 17 degrees. Let's take another look at it here. Okay, up to 20 degrees. So that's roughly 70 Fahrenheit. And again, that's at the open end of the tarp shelter. So that little thing is putting off a fair bit of heat. As far as wood, I'm just using branches that I cut with my saw, about 1.25 inches, something like that, and batoning them if I need to. Or, you know, when I started the stove, I needed something a little drier and smaller, so I batoned some wood. Other than that, those pieces, as you see them there, seem to be working fairly well. Getting about an hour out of a full firebox, so I think that's long enough to get some sleep in between. We'll see what happens. I'll try and set my alarm a few times to get up and keep that thing going, because it is providing quite a bit of heat. So other than that, for predator protection, I've got the Henry 44 Magnum lever rifle there. Got some bear spray at the ready, got a knife on my belt. And before I crawled in here, I did set up a little bit of a perimeter with some trees and branches, that kind of thing, to provide just a little bit of warning if something tries to sneak up on me here tonight. So other than that, like I said, I'm exhausted. Gonna try and get some sleep. But if anything happens overnight, I will get up and let you guys know. And until then, we'll see you in the morning. So it's about 8:30 in the morning, and survived the night in the tarp shelter. Temperature got down to about 0 Celsius, 32 Fahrenheit, freezing basically. But overall, it wasn't all that cold. Ended up putting all of my clothes on, jacket on, a couple extra sweatshirts, and pulled out the blanket that I had as well. Stove worked out pretty well. Had to get up every few hours to stoke that thing up again. I actually fell asleep in between. With the amount of clothing that I brought and the pads that I was sleeping on, I slept fairly well. So the stove was nice just to have a little bit of extra warmth for my feet down at that end. But overall, a pretty good night's sleep here. So pads worked out fairly well. Didn't feel a lot of cold coming from the ground, so that was great. So just going to have a last little sip of tea here and pack things up, and time to hit the trail again. So there we go, one last look at the tarp shelter before I take it down. Pretty simple design and construction on this one with a paracord ridge line. The stove was at the open end, and as you can see, the smoke is venting out fairly nicely. I didn't really get anything blow back in on me, so that worked out okay. Didn't get much snow last night, so hard to tell how that thing would have held up, but starting to snow a little bit right now, so I guess it's time to get it packed up and hit the trail again. So well into day 2 of hiking here. Been heading away from the truck all morning and exploring some new trails and trying to get things figured out. A lot of these old trails aren't on maps anywhere, and you never really know where they're going to go until you try. Sometimes they just dead end in a washout or an old logging cut. But anyway, it's all good good foundation for the next trip and the next one after that. So I'm going to head back towards the truck, and I'm not sure if I'm going to get there. I might have to hunker down somewhere for the night. Either that or just push on in the dark and sleep in my own bed tonight. We'll see how it goes. So it's turned into a bit of a winter wonderland over the last couple hours here. Snow is letting up, but there's a bit of an accumulation. I'd say probably 2 to 3 inches. And that's the direction I've just come from. You can see my tracks there. Just show you the direction I'm going. And I don't know if you can tell on the camera or not, but there's a bit of a hill in front of me there. Sadly, when you come down those hills on the way in, you got to go back up on the way out. I think I may as well wrap this one up. Getting close to the truck, about 3 miles to go, 5 kilometers, and it's all downhill from here, as they say. So this has been kind of a fun one. Changing conditions, first snowfall in the mountains, never exactly know what to expect, and this trip was no different. So thanks for coming along, sharing the adventure, and until next time, take it easy.